Paige Bueckers, she ain't gonna be Caitlin Clark. Not now, not today, not ever. Sorry, it ain't gonna happen.
Why hasn't Middle America given Paige Bueckers the Caitlin Clark treatment?
Well, the ratings are out. How much Paige Bueckers is moving the needle? There's already statistical evidence. No, she is not moving the needle in women's sports or women's basketball nearly to the effect of Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers is grabbing headlines again, but not because of her play on the court. No, it's because she's apparently fed up with not being treated like Caitlin Clark. That's right. Bueckers seems to believe she deserves the same fame, the same spotlight, the same thunderous applause. But let's cut through the noise. She's not Caitlin Clark, and let's be real, she's never going to be.
Paige Bueckers has had one of the best careers in the history of women's college basketball. And looking at these ratings for the women's tournament, it is abundantly clear Paige Bueckers might be a star, but she's not a draw.
Paige is stepping into the WNBA expecting to be greeted with fireworks and sold-out stadiums like it's some kind of coronation. But what she's finding instead is silence. The crowds aren't showing up in droves. The endorsement deals? Not falling into her lap. Why? Because unlike Caitlin, she hasn't earned that kind of attention. At least not with her numbers, her performance, or her influence on the game. In this video, we're unpacking exactly why Paige Bueckers isn't Caitlin Clark, and why she never will be, no matter how hard the media tries to spin it. If you're riding with Caitlin, drop a CC all the way in the comments, because we're about to get into it.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin and all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
While Caitlin Clark has been out here smashing records, dominating headlines, and transforming the game, Paige has mostly been out here giving interviews and playing the victim role. And now, she's acting entitled to the same respect that Clark gets. The same Clark who revived women's basketball and made it must-see TV. It's not just tone-deaf, it's flat-out disrespectful.
Paige Bueckers is coming in, and she's going to be a driving force.
Clark is going against Paige and Dejanay. ESPN today, when they were talking about Paige, one of them says, I think Paige will be a good player this year, but I'm not expecting a Caitlin-like impact, and that's an unfair bar to set. Dallas Wings using the promo poster of Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark to hype that game up.
Let's start with the facts. Caitlin Clark isn't just great, she's transcendent. This isn't your average superstar. This is a once-in-a-generation player. She's not only the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, she's the only basketball player in history, male or female, to post multiple 40-point triple-doubles in college. Her stat line, ridiculous. She drops 30 like it's a warm-up, dishes out more than 8 assists a game, and can launch a logo three or thread a no-look dime with the precision of a Hall of Famer. Steph Curry shooting range, Magic Johnson vision, she's got both. Caitlin's rewriting the script while everyone else is still flipping through the table of contents.
Caitlin Clark was clearly heterosexual, handled herself with grace, just balled out and competitive as hell between the lines, but very nice, subdued, and hung out with her boyfriend off the court. That is a formula for disaster with the angry lesbians of the WNBA, particularly when you're Caitlin Clark and you dominate the scene, you dominate the ads, you dominate being on television and everything about television.
Now let's look at Paige Bueckers. She had a hot start in college, no doubt. That freshman season was promising. But since then, it's been a roller coaster, plagued by injuries, long gaps in play, and inconsistent performances. She hasn't cracked that elite 20-plus point average on a consistent basis, and her assists? Just okay. Meanwhile, Caitlin's been dragging an entire program into national contention, game after game. And when it comes to crunch time, the final minutes, the pressure moments, that's when Clark takes over. Paige? She tends to fade, but we're supposed to pretend they deserve equal billing? Let's not.
2025 WNBA draft average 1.5, the second highest ratings ever. So its peak was 1 million viewers less than the average for the Caitlin Clark experience. The viewership literally got cut in half. Hell of a lot of people said, Caitlin Clark's gone, I'm gonna do something else with my day. And of course, last year, Caitlin Clark came out. The WNBA saw its far and away biggest rating ever for the WNBA draft.
Now let's Clark hits the court, the world pays attention. Her games broke viewership records, topping NBA games on the same nights. Every major network screen means eyeballs. She turned the WNBA draft into a television spectacle, drew record crowds, and exploded ticket resale prices just by showing up. When she plays, seats fill, hashtags trend, and highlight clips rack up millions of views. This isn't just hype, it's dominance.
She is the chosen one, as they say. That may not be the case for Bueckers. For those of you wondering if Paige's acceptance into the WNBA will be different than Caitlin, delusional fan base that follows Caitlin Clark disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go into that league and tear it apart.
Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers got the full ESPN hype machine heading into the 2025 WNBA draft. But when the numbers came in, total flop. Her draft drew just half the viewership Caitlin pulled the year before. Half. That's not coincidence. That's proof that viewers aren't buying what the media's pushing. They're here for Caitlin. Period.
The Caitlin Clark effect is real. There's evidence of that in college women's basketball ratings, and there's evidence of that now in the 2025 WNBA draft on ESPN delivered the second most viewed WNBA draft ever, averaging 1.25 million viewers. The spin is real from the media.
Let's be honest. This isn't about who posts the best workout selfies or who delivers the most heartfelt press conference. This is about real-world results, on-court performance, and fan interest. Caitlin Clark doesn't need a curated PR campaign. Her stats do the talking. She's the name people chant, the face fans drive hours to see. She doesn't chase the spotlight. She is the spotlight.
Paige Bueckers ain't Caitlin Clark and will never be on the court. ESPN continuing their Caitlin Clark erasure agenda.
So when Paige steps in expecting Caitlin's treatment, the answer is simple. You don't get Caitlin-level fame just for showing up. You get it by dominating. And right now, the word dominance has one name next to it. Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark got beat up last year because Caitlin Clark was everything the women who she stood on the shoulders of weren't. She was a nice, straight girl that balled hard, had a different game, and it pissed everybody off, including the little gals on ESPN.
Let's not kid ourselves. The media is bending over backward, trying to manufacture a rivalry, trying to prop up Paige as the next face of women's basketball. ESPN, sports anchors, social media commentators, they're all pushing this narrative not because Paige has earned it, but because they're low-key panicking that a white girl from Iowa with zero interest in virtue signaling just took over the sport.
The Monica McNutts and the Chimmies of the world and all the other clowns at ESPN that have tried to paint Caitlin Clark as popular for one reason, and that being a white girl.
Caitlin came into the WNBA with more than hype. She had receipts. Record-breaking college performances, sold-out arenas, and endorsement deals from Nike and State Farm before she even stepped on a professional court. And you know what she did to earn it? She hooped. That's it. She didn't climb social ladders. She didn't use identity to...
We want to see Caitlin Clark and we want to see Paige Bueckers.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more efficient.
And how was she welcomed? Not with parades, but with elbows, hate tweets, and hot takes. She's been fouled hard, mocked on TV, and dragged in the press by players and pundits alike. Why? Because she refuses to play the media's game. Because her presence alone is a disruption to the agenda. Now Paige wants that treatment. Without the pressure, without the performance, without the grind. Come on.
And as long as she comes in the league and she joins the likes of DeJounte Carrington and all these others that are always promoting some kind of activism, she's not going to know. Why? Because sports fans want to watch damn sport.
There's a growing push in the media to present Paige Bueckers as the right version of Caitlin Clark, whatever that even means. They're framing her as the polished, media-friendly, socially approved alternative to the woman who actually revolutionized the game. But let's be honest, Paige hasn't even consistently been the best player on her own roster. Her loudest moments haven't come from buzzer beaters or career-defining performances, but from carefully curated sound bites and symbolic gestures. Meanwhile, her game on the court? Much quieter. Yet the media eats it up. Why? Because it fits the narrative they want to promote. It's a convenient counter to the disruptor they didn't ask for. Caitlin Clark.
Eaton Thomas contrasts how white Americans view the two based on stark differences in speaking out against racial injustice. Quote, perhaps it's because, unlike Clark, Bueckers has always been outspoken about issues off the court, Thomas wrote in a Guardian article. At the 2021 ESPYs, Bueckers was named the College Athlete of the Year. She used her acceptance speech to celebrate and honor black women in particular. In Bueckers' famous ESPYs speech, she used her platform to recognize those who didn't get the same recognition as her, specifically highlighting black women. While black America cheered Bueckers, it seemed like mainstream white America, a demographic once viewed her as, in her words, a media darling, weren't signaling out her praises. Is it a coincidence, or maybe because her injuries have made people forget her greatness as an athlete?
What we're watching unfold is the definition of a manufactured rivalry. This isn't something built organically by competition or fan debate. It's been sculpted in editorial rooms and podcast talking points. The establishment media, the ones who were sidelined as Caitlin Clark took the spotlight on her own terms, are desperate to rewrite the script. They didn't discover Clark, they didn't mold her, and they certainly didn't give her permission to dominate. That's what makes them so uncomfortable. So instead, they try to balance the scales by overhyping Paige, but even that effort is starting to fall flat.
But she's back from injury, and now why aren't people focused on Bueckers as they were Clark last year when she was tearing up college basketball? Maybe if Bueckers had delivered a more vanilla ESPY speech, things would be different. This is a completely embarrassing article. Caitlin Clark is a worldwide phenomenon whose playing style has drawn a level of hype that hasn't been seen in basketball in a decade.
Let's talk excuses. You'll hear pundits say Paige had the better career on paper, conveniently skipping over the fact that she spent much of her college tenure watching from the bench due to injury while Clark was out rewriting the record books. They'll throw around efficiency stats, arguing that Paige is more polished, but they never mention the raw, overwhelming output Clark has delivered in terms of points, assists, and influence. Let's also not ignore the context. While Caitlin's been targeted on the court, frozen out by teammates, elbowed in the face, and publicly questioned by veterans, Paige hasn't had to face a fraction of that hostility. She plays it safe, socially and on the court, and that's exactly why she's media approved. But here's the problem. Safe doesn't sell.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're gonna brutalize her again.
No amount of speeches, social media campaigns, or friendly media coverage can artificially create the kind of magnetic impact Caitlin Clark brings. Greatness can't be manufactured in a press release. The media's attempt to prop up Paige Bueckers as Clark's equal, or worse, her replacement, has only highlighted how massive the gap between them really is. Numbers don't lie. Presence doesn't lie. Fans see it. They feel it. It's not even close.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT!
She signed my jersey! I'm so happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Let's look at the raw data. When Caitlin Clark declared for the WNBA draft in 2024, she didn't just show up. She turned it into a national event. Over 2.5 million people tuned in, and viewership peaked at more than 3 million. It wasn't just a draft. It was a cultural moment. It was history. It was the beginning of a new era. Flash forward to 2025 when Paige Bueckers entered the draft. Despite all the pre-draft hype and media saturation, viewership tanked. Just over 1.2 million watched. That's not a minor dip. That's a cliff dive. And no matter how ESPN tried to spin it, the audience knew exactly what they were watching. A draft without Caitlin Clark simply doesn't hit the same.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these people that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
Let's go courtside. When Clark is on the schedule, arenas fill to the brim. Tickets resell for hundreds, sometimes even thousands. The Indiana Fever saw a nearly 90% bump in road attendance and a 265% increase in home attendance from the previous year. Clark didn't just boost interest, she created demand. A once sleepy WNBA schedule suddenly became the hottest ticket in town. Her presence moved people physically and emotionally, drawing fans from every demographic imaginable.
If I was the WNBA, I would have considered a separate television package to a network on just Caitlin Clark games. I would have had two packages, the WNBA package, and then a separate, let's say, 15 to 18 game Caitlin Clark package.
Compare that to Paige. The crowds aren't rushing to see her play. Her games aren't leading broadcasts. Ticket prices aren't spiking. Paige's arrival didn't shift the league. It barely nudged it. And that's the difference. You can't force fans to care with media pressure and curated narratives. They care when they're inspired. And right now, the inspiration has one name: Caitlin Clark.
366,000. A new record for a female athlete. Caitlin is the needle. Smashed the old record held by Serena by $100,000.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing.
And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit.
Now let's talk social media and branding. Clark dominates every platform: TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube. Her clips rack up millions of views. Her crossover highlights, no-look dimes, and logo threes trend weekly. She's a walking viral moment. Naturally, brands took notice. Gatorade, Nike, State Farm, they all lined up. NIL records shattered. Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball player, she's a cultural force. Paige, she has a few sponsorships, sure, but nothing that compares. And that's not personal, it's business. Companies invest where the attention goes, and Clark is a walking headline.
She is not only the needle mover, she is the needle, but at this point, it's pretty clear Caitlin Clark is driving the bus and driving the sales.
And then there are the numbers that can't be spun. Clark isn't just in the record books, she's rewriting them. NCAA's all-time leading scorer, multiple 40-point triple-doubles, leading the nation in both points and assists. The first to combine volume with leadership and consistency at every level of the game. Paige, while undeniably skilled, is a player built on promise, not proof. And in professional sports, promise doesn't get contracts signed. Proof does. And yes, let's address the injury argument. It's valid. Health affects any career. But availability is a cornerstone of greatness. Caitlin Clark has shown up night after night, year after year, and delivered performances that altered the course of the sport. Paige, through no fault of her own, hasn't. And that absence is felt.
Caitlin Clark has taken women's college basketball by storm. It's because she's white, and all of her fans are white, and they're all racist.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her again.
So let's stop pretending. The scoreboard, the broadcast booths, the arenas, and the fan base all speak the truth Paige's team doesn't want to admit. Caitlin Clark is the standard. Paige is not in the same tier. She can't match the buzz, she can't match the numbers, and no amount of PR campaigns will change that. Caitlin didn't need ESPN to build her. She didn't rely on culture wars or speeches. She let her game speak, and the world stopped to listen. While Clark packed arenas and made history, Paige is still struggling to break through Clark's shadow, hoping hashtags and hot takes will elevate her stature. But fans, they don't follow slogans. They follow greatness.
They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable. She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement. And yes, people find that relatable. She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play.
So if you're still pushing the Paige Bueckers fairy tale, it's time to put the book down. This rivalry doesn't exist, and the comparison was never real. Caitlin Clark isn't just ahead, she's gone. And while the media scrambles to keep up, history is already etching her name in the record books, one logo three at a time. If you're riding with Caitlin, if you're done with the spin, and if you know exactly who changed the game, Drop a CC all the way in the comments Because let's be honest, there's only one face of women's basketball right now, and her name is Caitlin Clark. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.